Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, I wanted to start the video with a great picture sent to me by Tom Purdy, and it's showing you ice pillars. Now, these are really cool atmospheric optical phenomena, and they happen really when we have a lot of cold air in place. Oftentimes, we get ice crystals that grow as thin plates like you see right here, and as they fall, they can reflect light vertically like you see here right into your eye. So oftentimes when we see this type of optical phenomenon, it is very, very cold. And certainly as we get into the early Monday morning hours, we're still dealing with a lot of cold air. But things will be changing because after we start off the day here on Monday with temperatures through a big section of the middle part of the country here that might even be getting into the low teens, even single digits, we do have change coming throughout the rest of this week. Now, what's supporting those cold overnight lows is the fact that as this big low pressure system, which went through the Carolinas, causing a lot of problems, we'll talk about that in a second, moves on out, higher atmospheric pressure builds in behind it. We got some clear air. We can combine that with a few areas we can see on satellite where we have snow on the ground, and that's going to help keep things cool as well. So there's several reasons as to why early Monday morning is going to have some cooler weather across a big section of the country. But let's take a look at that snowfall we received over the last few days here. Certainly parts of eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, then really West Virginia, and North Carolina were hammered. We talked about this quite a bit over the last 10 days. Some locations in there were kind of just finally here, early in the morning on Monday, getting some of the reports in, and I'm hearing some locations well over 2 feet of snow. The snow did extend all the way to Raleigh in there in North Carolina and even east of there, so pretty impressive. Overall, the models did a good job when I looked at them in ensemble mode, picking up on where the heavier snow is going to be. Certainly the heaviest snow back here in parts of Texas. I heard Lubbock, nearby areas, getting over 8 inches of snow. So this is where the snow fell over the last 3 days or so, and it's going to be a messy start to the week there in the Carolinas and parts of Virginia. Now, to the south of the track of that low, we had incredibly heavy rains. You can see that widespread 1 to 3 inches was quite common, but look over there in eastern Texas and parts of Louisiana where we were approaching 5 and 6 inches from some of those thunderstorms that kept going over the same locations as the system got going. So meanwhile, much of the northern and central part of the United States relatively dry. We did have some lake effect snow coming on the cooler air that was behind this whole system though. Okay. As we look over our next week, I'm just going to show you the next week in terms of total accumulated precipitation and let you know some of the things we're going to talk about. Now, overall, a lot of the Corn Belt will be relatively dry. We will talk about a couple of chances for some lighter precipitation, but relatively dry. The storm track is going to tend to stay to the south and east, and so we're going to watch another low pressure system get going somewhere in this area as we get toward the 13-14. And depending on its track, could run up the East Coast, could run right off the East Coast. That'll change the precipitation forecast to the east of where that low is going to form. And then I will certainly talk with you about why this is so important to be seeing such heavy precipitation finally hitting the coast. So let's start off with kind of our high resolution view of things. So here we go. This is the NAM 3 kilometer, and it just took us right there quickly through the day on Monday. So you can see we're just watching the system that's exiting the East Coast. So still got some snow over there in parts of the Carolinas through the day on Monday. But you can also see pushing through Idaho, getting into parts of Montana and Wyoming. There's a frontal boundary moving through there, giving us some light snow chances as well. But overall, the beginning of the week is quiet for a lot of the country, with the exception of the Northwest, and we'll talk about that in a few seconds. Now, as we get in toward midweek, so here we are into Tuesday afternoon, you can see that front pushes on through parts of the Dakotas there. There we go. And then we are going to watch for the development of a weak upper level low that's going to move through parts of Iowa into Illinois. And as it does so, give us a chance for some midweek precipitation. You can also then see that moving through parts of Montana, even parts of the Dakotas, we are watching for some wintry precipitation late in the week in this area as well. But let's really kind of diagnose this piece by piece. We're going to start by looking here at what we're expecting on Wednesday evening. Now, I want to show you how the upper levels of the atmosphere are kind of controlling this. So here's the two main features. We have this trough right in through here, and that's what's helping to support the precipitation moving through Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and then to parts of the Dakotas right in through there. And then we have this second little wave right in through this area, which is what's supporting the rain and snow that you see, the light rain and snow you see there moving through Illinois into parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. And it might be cold enough on the back side of this for us to be getting some of that snow. But again, this is some pretty light amounts. This is not a major precipitation precipitation event. The next kind of big event takes shape as that wave that you saw me draw over Idaho and Montana digs down here into parts of the lower Mississippi River Valley. And so what that's going to do is that's going to provide the upper level support to develop this low. And what's tricky right now is to see where this low is going to form and where it's going to move. I'll tell you this, for the last 5 or 6 days as we've been watching this, the position of this low has varied considerably. So even though we're a little bit closer here, this is looking at this Friday, I think you're going to have to wait until my early Thursday morning video update before we have an accurate track on this. So let's kind of see what the latest model runs are at least projecting for this low. So we'll just go ahead and play this animation on out over here and just watch that again. So let's take this back. So you can see here's Friday around noon. It's kind of spreading there across the southeast, bringing quite a bit of rain as that warm-up we anticipated moves in. And then as it moves on off to the northeast, it kind of gets to tap into the really warm water off the coast and potentially is a big snowmaker on Saturday across higher elevations in the northeast. So that is the first main system, or the second system that we're going to be watching this week. Overall, though, a relatively drier pattern for a lot of us here in the Corn Belt, at least throughout much of this week. So we're just watching these two systems this week that we really should keep a close eye on. Okay, from there, I want to now talk about the Pacific Northwest because this is very important to help diagnose what they're going to be seeing because it will affect the rest of the country. So the map you see in the background here, this is the probability that over the next 15 days we see at least a foot of snow. So you can see here is almost 100% chance, and we can see that parts of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana are expecting to see a lot of snow as the coast up here in British Columbia. Now, why this is important is right now, especially in parts of Idaho, in Oregon and Washington, the basin average snow water content is well below average. So you can see there are a lot of numbers in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. 100 would mean 100% of average, which would be right on average. So we need this snow. It's been relatively dry, and it's been a slow start to the snowy season. So now, why is it going to do this? Well, check out this animation. What I'm showing you here are the wind speeds in the jet stream. Now, you often hear me talk about something called zonal flow. And zonal flow is where we just have strong winds that primarily go from the west to the east in the jet stream. Whenever we have highly amplified flow, we have a lot of trough ridges like this. But what we're going to see here as I animate this forward is that the jet stream across the Pacific is fairly zonal, and as a result it just keeps bringing moisture, multiple chances of it here along the west coast United States and west coast of North America, bringing up that wintertime snowpack, which is actually going to be very important for the remainder of winter as we try to forecast our temperatures longer term. Okay, from there, I now want to kind of diagnose the overall pattern of the atmosphere and kind of show you this brief warm-up, but then I'm going to show you how quickly things start to collapse after that. So this is an animation of the 500 millibar troughs and ridges. Okay, so as we move through Monday, we start to see into early Tuesday a ridge building in the middle part of the country. This is going to be the first kind of rebound of some warmer temperatures. We then see, as I talked about a few moments ago, on Wednesday, we got this little trough that kind of squeezes right in through here, bringing us that midweek chance for some precipitation. And then as we continue, you can see the second trough, there it is, this one right in through here that comes through by the time we get into Thursday. And as that one digs down there towards Texas, see that? This is where we're going to watch for this particular system to be initiating a low pressure system somewhere in here that will likely kind of skirt off toward the east or the northeast. A lot of uncertainty moving forward with that one. But watch, another ridge builds in behind this, giving us a resurgence of warmth next weekend. And as that deep trough plunges there in the Gulf of Alaska, you can see that big, deep, kind of cool color region right up in here. This is where the warmth really comes into the middle part of the country. So this is now the 16th, 17th, and 18th. Look at that ridging. This is a multi-day warm-up. Now remember, it's mid-December. So when I say warm-up, for many of us here in the middle part of the country, we're talking 40s. This isn't going to be warming way up into the 60s, like a really beautiful, like late fall like we would like. But no. It's just warmer than average. But once I get into the 19th, into the 20th, we start to see the pattern readjusting itself, breaking back down, going back toward these cool anomalies. And I'll just tell you something. I don't see anything that tells me that we won't continue to see an active storm track moving throughout the end of December. And there are some hints that as we get into that week of Christmas, that there could be some storm systems that move right across the country causing, travel headaches. But you know what? That's almost every year that we have that. But we'll keep a close eye on it, kind of keep you posted. Now what I want to do is I'm going to talk with you about what's going to be driving these temperatures. So watch this animation first. This is getting you through the next 15 days looking at the European ensemble forecast for temperatures. So there's the cool that we're starting off with on Monday, but look at the temperatures rebounding in the middle part of the country as I move you through Wednesday, then Thursday. This is now getting into Friday, next weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and now we're into the 16th, 17th, and 18th when we knew that ridge was going to be there and the warm-up's going to come in. But watch as I get you past the 20th. Okay, so here we are into the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. You start to see the cooler air coming back. So our little mid-month warm-up, which we've been talking about now for feels like several weeks, looks as though we've got a bit of a shift in the overall pattern as we move into the week of Christmas. So we better talk about what's primarily driving that. Okay, so in that animation, don't watch the one on the right just yet. Watch the one on the left. That animation over there on the left, that is showing you the position of the polar vortex right now. So you can see that it's elongated like this. All right. What I then want you to watch is one of the things that we're all kind of cluing in on over the next several days. So as I click play here, this particular image that you see over on the right is lined up with the one that you have over there on the left. So we're looking at way up in the atmosphere, 10 millibar pressure, we're looking at temperatures. And so this is the current position of the polar vortex. Now watch this. As we move things forward, you can see how, as I get you out here, this is now, getting out into the 16th, 17th, and 18th, things, they kind of shift and it kind of gets more aligned like this. So that is the overall shift in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's allowing that warmer air to get in. But as I move beyond that, watch this. We're going to have what we call as a sudden stratospheric warming event that's going to be happening somewhere over in this vicinity. And that looks as though it's going to realign the polar vortex back to where it was when we were so cold in parts of November and early December. So you can see here at the very end, we've now got the polar vortex kind of lined up something like that. So that warm-up that we're going to be experiencing, it's going to last several days, but certainly going to be going back toward that colder pattern with time. So I'll keep a close eye on these upper levels and kind of explain to you what I'm seeing as we progress throughout the month of December. Okay, next thing I want to show you here is I want to focus in on what's going on in South America. So keep a very close eye on Brazil first as I animate this moving forward here. So here we go. You can see that as we transition into this drier time period, which we talked about for Brazil, they're going into it with plenty of rainfall. This is the last week's worth of rain, and if you're watching Brazil there with me, you can see the monsoon was quite active and bringing in quite a bit of precipitation. So that's why as we look out and we finally start to bring in that drier, that drier air we've been talking about right in through here, it's not going to be, that big of a deal in the near term simply because of how wet things have been. We are actually going to see this pesky boundary sitting right in through this area, and that's going to be bringing in a lot of showers and thunderstorms there into parts of Argentina moving forward. And remember, Argentina's had a relatively rough start for a lot of folks. Very, very wet at the end of November, then things dried out in early December, and now we're bringing back in some more big thunderstorms. So that's kind of your South American outlook here. Drier in parts of central Brazil and wet on either side as we progress through the month of December and get you all the way out toward Christmas time here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast video. We hope you look forward to our next ag forecast coming out early Thursday morning. I want to thank you for your attention, and I'll talk to you again on Thursday. Thank you.